ALB. Oh, why does my mic not work? All right, please let me know if you can hear me. I think it should be fine now. ALB, huh? Thea is like a child when Nikki says ALB, she go, huh? Um, hey Cassie, welcome to the membership. I want to have this convo for approximately 2-ish hours. Um, and Jamal will most likely be leading it when he gets here in time. I have two people behind the scenes. I will add them in a moment. I looked very desperately to the women in the Discord to give us questions so that we can have something to talk about. But just sit back, relax. Imagine this is like a podcast with men talking about men's things. Yeah, and then we'll discuss. If there's any man in the chat who wants to come up, let me know next panel, and we shall do that. The mayor in New York, that's some stuff that I want to talk about. I have a video coming up maybe this weekend about the affirmative action situation. It's not going how them people thought it was going to go. I have so many things that I want to talk about. There's so many things, but I'm going to table that and I'm going to try to make some short videos throughout the week and we'll see how that goes. I have been extremely exhausted, and today I have an event like right after this. Right after this, I'm going to an event, so I'm very excited about that. So I cannot go over 2 hours. Please remind me that I need to stay within the 2 hour time frame. All right. Oh, one more announcement. Sin and I will be having a debate. And there are so many updates about the Diddy case, but I think a lot of people have been going over that, so it's fine. I don't need to get into any of it. But Sin and I are going to have a debate about trigger warning. We're going to debate abuse and like the victim's responsibility and knowledge when it comes to abuse, because I might have misheard something that she said on her live that might be in sync with something she said on our live stream. And so I did ask her if we could debate that, and we are going to. And this is something that I need to point out. The reason I like Sin, by the way, is that she's one of the very few content creators that she'll say something and I'll disagree with, and I'll say publicly that we should like debate it and engage with it, and she's like willing to do that. Usually content creators run and hide and they are upset and they feel disrespected, like how dare you disagree kind of thing. And I don't like that. So we'll have that debate whenever it's set up. I'll let you all know. And yeah, welcome everyone. Happy Friday. Grab your coffee, water, tea, whatever you're drinking, go and get that. I'm going to hit the intro, add Orange Pill and Hood Mystic to their live stream, and we'll start the discussion there. Hi, both of you. How are you both?
How you doing, Themis? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you? Besides being exhausted.
Yeah, 6 days.
Exhausted from what?
You said you were exhausted, so I was like, how are you besides being exhausted?
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm excited. I'm waiting for Jamal to jump in, but as we wait for Jamal, we can engage. We can engage in some discourse. So, what is new? What is up with you both?
I'm thinking about going to nurse practitioner school, so I'm trying to get all my admission stuff ready, my old transcripts and stuff like that. So that's exciting.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank.
Hopefully, can I be shady? Can I be shady?
Yes, go ahead.
Hopefully, you know the difference between majority and part when you start. Majority and part, right? Yeah, majority and part. When you
Part there
start,
was hole in there too, I think.
when you
I
start giving out medicine.
Yeah, because I don't want to give out the wrong one. Trust,
Mhm.
sometimes every now and then I go back and look at that short clip of that. Just like that was and some of the old conversations we've had. Uh I'm like, man, oh man, that was quite a time.
Yeah, famous, don't start. All right, they said not to start because you said something on the Zoom that I actually want to bring up. Hood Mystic,
Okay.
how are you?
Doing fine. Just nothing really is going on with me besides homeschooling. I have two, a 9 and 11 year old that I'm like actively homeschooling. So getting back
Oh,
in the
nice.
swing of things.
Wait, no, I'm mad
Nice.
now. You can't both be like dads in the home taking care of business. I feel like I can't drag y'all now. I feel like now I can't drag because you're the parents who are there. Anywho,
Yeah.
let's go back to you, Orange Pill. In the Zoom, and we don't have to talk about anything in the Zoom private, but
That's
you
fine.
brought up something, and this stream is about what is a good black man, what is a good man.
Yeah.
And so you were reflecting on your past, and I think that's actually a good place to start. Um, so you said you don't think you were a good man back then, and you're trying to be a better one now. Could you explain?
Yeah. So in my eyes at that time, I was thinking like I'm a good black man or good man. With a good black man just because of conversation. Because I was doing everything right, as far as a home, a wife, being faithful to my wife, while she was pregnant at the time, when I was having those conversations. But I was different when I was online, really into the manosphere, talking points and saying things like making videos minimizing black femicide or, the whole, don't date a woman that has a house thing. So I think what happened was I realized like all these issues that these men are saying they're having and how they're expressing them is not how I was in real life. And so I was like, I'm kind of like not advocating for them, but I'm just kind of like, um, what's the word? I don't know, just kind of like a persona that wasn't even really like that didn't like, well, I'm not having these issues. So, and then I just realized like, man, that was ridiculous. Just thinking about like the house thing and black femicide
Wait,
and I,
why do you think you wanted to do that? Like, even if you don't know, like we can
yeah,
explore it some. Like initially, you said you weren't experiencing these men's problems in your personal life,
yeah.
but what was the drive for you then?
I think, and I talked about this before. I think the political atmosphere made me
No, no, no,
realize.
no, 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 no.
Oh,
The drive. What was the drive for you to speak up on their behalf?
okay, well, okay. Because I wanted to advocate for what black men were feeling, even though like I just wanted to be as a black man. I wanted to like I felt at that time that was me advocating for black men, and I didn't realize the sinisterness behind it. At the time, I thought I was doing something good by advocating for black men, even though, like I said, it got to the point where like I was I was actually just you could say almost in a cult as
The,
far as
the red
that.
pill.
Yeah,
Got. Oh, go ahead. You can continue.
yeah. So um, it was more so like I was like, and I just got too deep into it, and then uh, I was like I said the whole like house thing after that, and just I think, and I also thought and I talked to this with my wife, and she was like, "Really?" Like I thought there was I thought I mean, there I thought black men in reality really didn't have this disdain for black women as I found out. I thought that was just kind of like, okay, I think people are exaggerating this disdain or this not appreciating of black women. I think there's just a misunderstanding on black women's part, and I think they just need to see it from a black man's perspective. But really, it was absolutely true.
Gotcha.
And
Before we continue, though, Jamal, welcome. I want to go to Hood Mystic first. How do you respond to that? How does that fit with you?
For me, I feel like it has to be a level of provocation a lot of times. I understand that there are extreme cases, but that wouldn't be a generalized conversation. I think the generalized conversation when it comes to man and women relationships is what is the provocation, right? And if there is any, because at a certain point, I don't want to be the one up here defending all men and their actions, right? But if we're having a conversation on good man, I think we got to give a good man a understanding of the reason for why he's blowing his top off. Because I don't think, as a man who has lost his anger before and a generally calm person, I think that we just kind of just use these blanket terms that just demonize black men off the rip, and you don't give them any wiggle room. Like, of course, there are men that feel bad towards women and do disrespectful things and horrible things, but having the general conversation, it always gets sticky and icky for me.
How do we have? Yes, but yeah, all of us have glasses. We're all blind.
wow, I didn't
Um,
realize that.
Thanks, scurry up
Nice.
and eat. How do we have a general conversation about manhood then, or like bad things
we
happening in the
we
community?
assume the positive. We assume the positive, just like we do with women. Point blank. Period.
Wait,
Yeah. Period. It's a simple. You do it with women without any juxtaposition, without any
wait.
differing
Do
or
you think we?
variation. We just assume all women are good. Period. Like don't
No, we
gaslight
don't.
me
We
now.
don't do.
We
I
don't
don't
do
agree
that.
with. Wait, I don't
What
agree
is
with that.
baddies? Would there be
Wait,
a
hey,
man? Would there be a male version of baddies
Uh
in
oh.
real life? Let's be real.
isn't there a
Bad
Bad
Boys
Boys
Club.
Club?
No, not for real. Not for
No,
real. Who
wait.
cares about that?
Can we back up some?
Mhm.
So you think we assume positive when we talk about women?
Clearly, we have the converse. You don't even think about it. It's not even a thought that a woman could even provoke a negative situation at all.
Give me
Like
an example of this.
I just gave you one. Baddies.
No, you said when we have conversation, because when we talk about
Cardi B, and Offset.
when we talk about sexy red or like the women in hip hop generally, it's from a very negative
Do you
standpoint.
know how hard Sexy Red has to work to be talked about in a demonizing way? Like
Well,
it's
no, because
preposterous.
wait,
We
can we
allow
wait?
this slippery scale.
Is there a lag? Because I'm getting a bit annoyed now, and I thought this was going to be like a way more productive convo. The the way Megan the Stallion gets dragged for being shot is wild. So like I feel like we're gonna do a tit for tat, which I'm completely fine with. But I don't think our culture assumes positive with women unless we're talking about school, for example. Like there are very specifically gendered things for which women are seen positively, and there are a lot of things that men are seen positively for. The difference is when men, black men in this case, do bad things, the community tends to still defend them, whereas women don't have to be as bad to get dragged through the community. Now, that is my perspective on how we engage. How is
Mhm.
that not true? And why would you push back against that?
Because it's more or less celebrated. even though there is like visual, we can have
Wait,
intelligent
wait, wait, wait,
conversation.
wait. So, what is celebrated?
Concert tickets,
No, no. What exactly are
tours.
we celebrating that we shouldn't?
We shouldn't celebrate the over sexualization of young black women.
All right.
We shouldn't
Who
just
is
say, okay.
celebrating that? Who perpetuates that and who celebrates that?
Well, you gave the example of Meg the Stallion and Sexy Red. I can add in Glorilla. These are important, like, I mean, not in the world of academia, but in the space of forming young minds. These are very influential figures. So they are not being separated from being absorbed and watched by young black women. I mean, these women have more or less free reign to influence without any negative things. And honestly, I don't want to go tit for tat, and I don't want to be in a negative space. I'm just really speaking from an observatory space. You know what I'm saying?
No, it
And out
feels
of
like
love.
you're speaking for. All right. From my perspective, it feels like a very emotional response, which doesn't feel like it's predicated on anything meaningful, because you're saying these people are celebrated when they're literally getting dragged, right? And when we see men like R. Kelly or Diddy or whatever, right? It's only when sort of the machine steps in to hold them accountable that they are held accountable, right? Where Meg and a lot of people are getting dragged or women are excommunicated. It feels very clear where the bias is in the community. Whenever anything pops up with like the police or people being unalive, we know who we celebrate and who we protect, regardless of their past. But we'll say leave that for an opinion thing and then get back to the discussion of like good man. So let's open it up now to defining what a good man is in y'all's mind. And again, Jamal will probably be leading more of this discussion. So we can, Jamal, you can take the wheels.
Can you guys hear me okay? I'm kind
Yep.
of aware.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That was a lot, but I guess we'll
Yeah, we're just going to switch to what a good man is, because I want us to focus on men and not be going back and forth with about like women.
Okay. I think an initial question that you asked Orange Pill a little while ago was kind of the way I sum it up in my mind is kind of like an origin story. And so like I do want us to ultimately get to the place of discussing what is or what we would consider a good man. But I think it's, to me, I think it would be helpful if we kind of share where we four men have come from, because I think that plays a part in our perspective
Good point.
what is considered a good man. So maybe we can, like, I don't know, generally speaking, like where you're from, like where you're from or where you grew up, how, you know, in a summed up way, what was your upbringing? And a question that I had on, I had written down was kind of like, who were some of your early inspirations? And you can just choose whoever. It doesn't matter. Like, who were your role models or people that you looked up to? So if you can identify, because we don't need to know your ages or anything like that, but like kind of where you grew up, maybe a little bit about your upbringing, and who were some of your like inspirations that motivated you in your life.
It's good.
Not Unc. Does that mean I'm old? Dang. But
Well, I'll go first.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Sure. I grew up in Akron, Ohio, um, and I came from a single mother household, Christian upbringing. But even though I came from a single parent household, I had my grandfather. We lived in our grandfather's grandmother's house, so I had my grandfather there as an early role model. But when I really think about that question, I really look to the people that's in my family. because they were the people that I saw and observed and seeing how they handle business. So like people like my grandfather, who was a man who worked at Chrysler for until he retired, and just had created a life for himself and his family. That really inspired me. Like from a little kid, I always wanted a family, I always wanted children, I always wanted a wife, and I always wanted to like take care and just learn what that all was about, having a garage and tools and things of that nature. So that really has consumed much of my what I view as what's inspiring to me, the men in my family.
That's
So
dope.
you said your dad?
Not necessarily my dad, but because I did grow up in a single mother household. My dad um grew up in another state, so I'm not. I know of him, and I lived with him for like 2 years, and I don't have nothing bad to say about him per se, because I know the reason why they weren't together. So it's nothing like it's no hard feelings, but this of course is things that you have to work through emotionally throughout time. But I still have positive role models throughout my whole life, like in my real life, that I could always rely on, talk to, get advice from, things of that nature.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that, Hood Mystic. I appreciate that.
I
Orange Bill.
think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, no, were you getting ready to say something? Go ahead.
Oh, I was waiting on Orange Pill, but Orange Pill can go before me.
Oh, you sure, Themis?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland. If anybody's familiar with that area. Uh, Raised by both my parents. Mother and dad still married. Um, they, even though I lived in more of the suburbs, I went to school all around that Prince George's County area. Everybody's familiar with that. It's very, hood basically. So a lot of kids I went to school with didn't have, both parents in the house. So it was a very interesting upbringing. And then my dad raised me. He raised me to be a husband. I think he raised me more so of how to be a husband, but there was a lot of stuff that my dad was like really hard on me, I would say. And it was a very religious background. My parents both were Pentecostal, so we went to a lot of Pentecostal church stuff, everything. So I grew up a lot in the church. Um, I but I did after I graduated high school. I went to the military. Um, really found myself out a lot. Really found myself in the military, just what kind of person I wanted to be. Really just drifted far away from how I was raised. And then when I got stationed, um, I was I got I really now, this is what you mean, Jamil, when you say Jamil, right? I'm sorry, am I saying your name right?
Jemima.
Mile.
Jamal, sorry.
It's
This
all
is
good.
what yeah, this is where I would say, it's like a journey. It's a journey being a good man. It's not just it's so when I was younger, I I gaslighted women as far as, what I wanted to get out of the situation. And I found joy in that. And that's why it's always hard. I mean, as I met my wife, I told her about, when I first met her, I told her about what kind of person I was before, because I wanted to be honest about it. But I did a lot of bad things. And I wanted to make sure my wife knew what type of person I was, and that I was not that person anymore. But there was a lot of bad things I did as far as, you know, uh, somebody said I gaslighted last year. Yeah. So yeah, old habits die hard. But yeah, but it was very like the things I did were very bad. I've learned from that. Obviously, I still had those bad habits when it came to debating themes and talk about these women issues and stuff like that. But yeah, it was so Elaborate on the bad things. I mean, they're really.
You don't have to do that right now. You don't have to do that right now.
Okay.
Stick with the origin story.
Yeah. So basically, after that, I graduated. I went to nursing school. Graduated. I didn't even think. I met my wife. I didn't even see that coming. But when I met her, I told myself, you know, I'm gonna be doing I did a lot of stuff out there. It's like once I find the right woman, I'm done. I'm not doing anything else no more. So when I met my wife, I nothing. I didn't go like, well, let me finish off with this girl here, and then like no, I was like, nope, done with everything, just not talking to nobody else. Um, I learned through relationships that because I wasn't so used to relationships because I didn't, I just did what I wanted to out there. I had to listen, and that was my hardest thing to do. I was just as y'all know, I I had to listen and be patient and really like communicate, and that was something that was a struggle for me when I first started dating my wife. Was not listening and not paying attention to her needs. Something that I wasn't thinking about when I was older. It was all about like, well, this is the type of husband you need to be. As far as I was raised that old fashioned, like you just need to be making good money and provide for your family, but that whole communication part was missed. So that hurt me a lot. Um, but that helped me get closer to a good man, quote unquote. Like, but then I got introduced to the manosphere stuff as I was, dating my wife, uh, and engaged and stuff like that. And I saw Kevin Samuels, and I was really taken back because I'd never seen anybody talk like this to women before at ever. And it wasn't so much like I was like, man, yeah, keep talking to women like that. It was just like I was just so shocked. It was like much more shocking, which I think that was his intent, among other things, like that shock value thing. I was like, oh my gosh, what's he going to say next? I hadn't even seen all the men stuff he had done. I actually started watching him before that viral moment because I was like, I never seen a guy talk like this to him. And so when everybody caught on, I was like, yeah, I've been watching for a while talk to women like this. But it was just something to watch. I just couldn't keep my eyes off of him is what he was doing. And then I started actually listening to what he was saying. I was like, yeah, and even though it wasn't relatable to me per se, I was like, yeah, I guess I do be hearing that, and I just got caught up in all of it. And I would have this conversation with my wife about it. She's like, that's ridiculous. None of that stuff is nonsense. Like, no, it's true, it's true. So me and my wife would go back and forth about Kevin Samuels and stuff like that, and she just roll her eyes. Um, I think what happened was, as I was saying before, I didn't. I was naive and I was naive in thinking like I was like, okay, women are just they're overblowing all this, whether it's black femicide or what a group of men how they're treated by men. I think they're just overblowing it, all this stuff. And I guess not to get all involved in politics, I think it shouldn't have took this long, but it didn't. It was until I saw how Fonnie Willis got treated. That was my initial thing when I saw like people like, Dana Sperling. I don't mean to say it name, but I saw him kind of say like, well, she needs to get her bar, she needs to lose her bar license and stuff. I'm like, what? And I didn't realize that like this disdain, not by all men, but this disdain, I thought there were just some differences and women were kind of overblowing some of the things, which was wrong. I didn't realize there was a disdain for not just certain black women, but black women in authoritative positions that bothered black men. And I thought black women would be more receiving of that, but they're clearly not. So that's what that and just realized like, these problems that men say they're having, I don't see it because when I talk to women at work, they'll say like, that the men they talk to do prey on them because they make a lot of money and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, so who's right here? The women's or the men? I had to take the women I work with the majority, which is largely occupied by Black women.
No, yeah.
And yeah, so I'm still in the process. I'm still, I still have things I need to work on, like even with the Diddy thing. At first, I was skeptical of Cassie. I will say that I was skeptical,
Okay.
and then I saw the video, and I was like, and my wife just looked at me like, "See, like, are you kidding me?" Now,
Yeah.
oh, you got to see a video to. It was like, see, this is why I need to keep working on what I got to work on.
Yeah. I
So it's
got you.
still a journey for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I
I
want
didn't
to
mean to be
say
long-winded, by the way.
it's all good. I appreciate your willingness to be open and candid. So I want to acknowledge that and say thank you for that. There's a lot of stuff that you said in there that I would like for us to come back to. But
Yeah,
I do want to hear, again, just trying to set a level playing field so that we can see each other again as men on this panel,
yeah.
having this discussion. So if we can go to, we'll do Themis next. If you can, Themis, if you can rejoin us. And
Yeah, no, that's fine. Themis, can you make him hurry up? Otherwise, I listen to FD and pacify. You play too much. So I grew up in Jamaica. I grew up all over the place. Jamaica, the US, the UK kind of thing. The person I look up to the most in terms of men,
Oh,
I don't know, and maybe I don't know if it's my dad. Like, I'm gonna go with Jesus, but I don't trust these
again,
men.
it doesn't have to be men. That's what I'm saying. Is whoever you
Oh,
look
my
up
mom.
to.
My mom.
Okay.
The person I look up to the most is my mom. I think she's a bad. Let me stop. She's that girl. And I really look up to her. And my brother. I look up to my mom, my dad, my brother in that order, I think. Yeah. I don't remember the next question.
No, I mean that was it. I just wanted a
All right,
general
cool.
understanding of like your origin and those you looked up to that kind of inspired you. Victor, if you don't mind joining us, I'd appreciate it.
Hey Jamal, Themis, Orange Pill, Hood Mystic. How's
what's going
everybody?
on? What's going on, Patty?
Doing good, man.
What's the question?
So I kind of want like a synopsis, like trying to get an understanding of. I'm calling it like an origin story. So kind of like where you grew up, little aspects about how you were raised, and also who were inspirational figures in your life or like role models that have influenced you. And again, it doesn't have to be specifically a man or anything like that. It's just whoever had that impact in your life.
Oh, okay. I grew up in Jupiter, the city, not the planet, the city in Georgia. I grew up in a really, really small town with my mom and dad. So mostly doing some farming and stuff like that. Then I went to the military because that was kind of all there was to do in my town or work for a plant. Finished my contract, started working as an adult out here in the adult world with adults. And that's what I've been doing ever since. Oh, and now I'm gone back to college. I would say my biggest influences are my mom. My dad is an influence, but I feel like he's a bad influence. So I don't know if I want to list him. I'm gonna list him. I'm gonna say my dad. I'm gonna say he's a neutral influence. I won't give him good or bad.
No, I appreciate it. Again, thank you to all of you guys being transparent. I appreciate that. For me, I'll try to keep it short. I grew up in PG County as well. Grew up with both
Oh,
of my
wow.
I grew up with both of my parents. My upbringing was a little bit tumultuous. My dad wrestled with alcoholism and drugs, and so he was in and out of my life. But he was there uh, at times. The influences for me, honestly, were because I don't say I necessarily grew up in the church. Because I think there's a total difference between people who are like PKs and like really grew up in the church compared to those who like sort of go regularly. But for me, a lot of influences for me were youth ministers and stuff like that, and in a more like historical impact for me, uh, going into like high school and stuff. Malcolm X was kind of like a big influence for me in regards to just trying to live right and make an impact. So that's it for me. My next question, I mean, before I go on, Demas, did you have anything to say?
Oh, I was going to read this. How
I-
women stay with men through growing pains like deconstructing their patriarchy is bizarre to me. Same. Sorry, I just wanted to read that. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's fair.
I got a question for you. What high school did you go to?
I went to Northwestern.
Oh, okay, I went to Friendly.
Okay, all right, cool. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay.
All right. Sorry for that side PG County moment. All
Yeah.
right. So my next question it's going to seem a little silly, but there's a reason behind it. The question is, how long have you been a black man?
This ain't no trick question like Kamala Harris or nothing. How long?
No,
you been black?
it's not a trick question. But like, how long have you been a black man?
Huh.
That's a good question.
It's a good. I'm trying to figure out what. I guess I would. I don't know how I would define a black man, but I guess that's a part of the question too.
Yeah, I mean, because I know we're discussing what it means to be a good black man,
Yeah.
and I think it's important. It's not a trick question at all, but I think it depends on our perspective. And one of the reasons I was trying to tap into our kind of our origin stories is because for a lot of people, and I'm gonna kind of group our sisters into this based off of our origin stories.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of us mature faster than others, and that has an impact. For some people, for some men, they feel like they've been a man for a long time because their pops wasn't there. They had to step in. They had to help raise their younger siblings. They had to be there to support their mom. And so for some guys, they feel like they've been adulting for a very long time. And then there are other men who feel like, okay, now kind of like what Petty was saying is like I started adulting, so now I'm a black man. I'm no longer a black boy. I'm actually having responsibility in community and in my life. And then there are some black men who seem to never grow up, who are not men at all. You know what I'm saying? Like they may be older, 40s and 50s, but still acting like children. You know, so I mean, the reason I asked that question, because again, I think that influences our perspective on how we interact with one another, how we see ourselves, and how we move in this in our community. So again, for me, I would say I started feeling like a man, feeling like a black man once I got to college. When I was in college and knowing that I had to one, take care of myself in regards to like my grades and show up and stuff like that and have that responsibility, but also knowing that I was at this point responsible for my future and responsible for how I wanted to show up in my community. So that might have been like 18. But that's kind of the question. Like when did you feel like, okay, I'm a man, I'm now a black man, and now I gotta, live in this world and I'm no longer a boy.
Okay. I get that question now. I would say for me, I think it was for me after I left the military, when I got out in 2013, because at that time, even though I was in the military, there's all this discipline and stuff, I was very comfortable because you get paid every first and 15th for the month. And then it can be lax in there. And then, you just get paid and everything's kind of handed to you, in my opinion. So when I got out the military, it was like, okay, now you got to find like an actual job, pay bills. Now you're going to try to go to school. And you had to really find a balance and stuff. And the money had dropped a lot. And I wasn't getting paid as frequently. So I had to find this, I had to find this thing where I had to find a job as soon as I get out, because they don't really give you a warning when it's time for you to get out. They don't say, okay, well, we'll give you 6 months to get your your affairs in order. Like, no, you got to get out now. So that whole change in how I um, had to basically survive because I had gone from like I went out to the military when I was 19. I basically got kicked out the house because I was just not doing well in community college. So I was like, well, I'm not. I better go to. I went to the military. So I'd been living comfortably in military. Basically, babied me for like 4 years, and then I had to get back out there. So I never really got a chance to, you can say, develop in the civilian world. I went straight to the military world as soon as I basically hit my adulthood. Uh, so and then when I got out at 24, it was like I had to like adjust all that time I missed. So I became a black man then, not a good one, but I became black man. Or is that the same thing? So is that a good? Is this black man?
It's just black man.
Okay.
We haven't even got on good yet.
Yeah.
Jermaine, could famous, you got it. If you want a mystic to go next, go ahead.
For me, I feel that I became an adult once I was 18, but my consciousness, my awareness of reality, who I am, how people receive me, really, it wasn't very much heightened throughout my 20s. But what I got married when I was 28, and from 28 to 31, at 31, I had a child. And once I had a child, I felt as though, like, I don't know, playing with my son, it changed something internally at a hormonal level. Like, just my whole entire disposition and actions, my focus, how I saw myself, it drastically changed. And I feel like that hormonal change uh really turned me into a man. And I that's about as simple as I could put it.
No, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And curry up to eat. I was in the Air Force. Just to answer that question up there.
Good stuff.
Air Force. I worked as a mental health tech. So
Okay, that's cool. Jermaine or Petty?
I think I became a black man when I was 6 years old.
Jesus.
My mom, my dad, my uncles, everyone who is an adult in the family, but especially my mom, dad, and my uncle, who were very heavily influential in my life, had like a very stringent type of requirement for me that I noticed other children didn't have in school. And we talk about adultification bias before for girls. So I'm sure it's something that you're familiar with. But something as simple as like putting my hands in my pocket, my dad wouldn't allow me to do for the fear that, well, what if a police comes by and he doesn't know what you have in your pockets? Or standing up straight, I wasn't allowed to slouch, or I had to make very, very, very good grades at school. There's like a whole bunch of requirements that I feel like required me to be beyond my years and didn't really allow for a childhood in the way that I would see other races of children have on TV. I remember earlier this year, maybe speaking about being left at home on It Gab, the hottest podcast on YouTube. But I talked about, oh, well, yeah, my mom would go to work and, it would just be me and my sisters and we would just, and I feel like everyone looked at me like I was crazy. The idea of staying home and like thawing out chicken alone as a child while your parent or parents are off doing whatever. But that was kind of how it was. I felt like I had to grow up quick. Now, as a legal adult, I feel quite childish. So I'm gonna say I was a man, but
now you're a
feeling more
boy.
like a black boy these years.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know when I became a man. I mean, obviously, like I feel like 18 is when you become a man, and then your brain develop at 25 or whatever they say now. So I don't know because I think it would I would have to first define what manhood is in some ways. And so the answer is I don't know. That's the most upfront answer that I have, but there's like the age, the maturity thing when you start taking on responsibility and all of that, which could give me a very different answer than I don't know. But now that I am, I'm assuming it's about sort of responsibility, which I didn't really have to take on a ton of responsibility until after I graduated law school. Actually stayed in school partly because like it was fun, and two, it didn't feel real. Like when I was in school, it felt like I wasn't in the real world. Like I could just kind of not care about responsibilities and bills and all of that. So, but yeah, I don't know how to answer the question, is what I'm saying.
No, I mean, any answer you have, it's not a right or a wrong kind of thing. The oh boy, a part part of this, the whole thing, and my perspective, it's a discussion, and I think for us to come to a conclusion about what it means to be a good black man, again, we have to kind of do the building blocks, um, because if we don't have a clear definition on those basic things, what are we working with? Because even the follow-up question to that, you kind of started touching on that theme, is like, well, what makes a black man? You know, is it just Eddie, these picture changes? Like, what is it that makes a black man? Like, even in say like your own life and your upbringing, you know, seeing whether it is your father or your uncle or themes you mentioned, like your brother, like, how did you recognize other black men in your community? You know, because sadly, for the way that we are observed, sometimes a young black boy can be uh, in middle school or high school and considered a man and looked at as a man. You know, so that perspective can be a little warped. So, like, how do you all, and I mean, whoever wants to answer first, like, how would you define uh, what a black man is?
Can I get a clarification? Like,
Sure.
because I don't know that I agree with the adultification of black boys. Um, and I know it happens in very specific way around sex in particular. But I actually think the reason it's difficult for me to define what it means to be a black man isn't because like I can't come up with a concept for manhood, right? Like I can do that, but it feels sometimes that like we are not adultified, rather we're infantilized even as grown men. And so I don't want to use the language, but I have to because it conveys the idea
Sure.
properly. It feels like we get coddled in a lot of ways, and then we are thrown to the wolf in other ways, right? So, like, if we're in the ghetto, for example, like we have to learn to fight, and we develop manhood in this very overt, abrasive, physically aggressive way. But we are also sort of not mentally being developed in the sort of intellectual way, and we are treated um, as property and cared for more than other people, more than women, I think. But I'm not comparing men to women. We can just have the conversation on men now. It feels like we are like coddled, at least in terms of the language around black manhood and boyhood, while we also have to fight. So we're physically growing up to be men and overtly masculine in the physical, deep voice kind of way, but then we are coddled and treated like infants in the kind of psychological way. Does that make sense?
No, yeah.
Who's doing the coddling? Like who
I would say
specifically?
black women in particular. Like I think black women, um, maybe it's out of fear because I don't remember who was talking about um, policing, for example. But like there is I think an overemphasis on protecting black men and boys. But yeah, I would say black women tend to cuddle black men in ways that I think are ultimately detrimental.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would say also that there's a lack of preparation for the real world by those same, parental figures.
But
So,
it
yeah.
feels like you're very quick to blame black women and you're very
No, no,
willing
no,
to
no,
come from
no,
that
no.
trade.
I'm not like you. Everybody can imply what I'm saying, but I'm honestly like, this is real life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm active in my son's life, and every single day, this is what we have conversations about. It's a real world out there, and I would rather prepare you. And I don't feel like a mom can't prepare her son for the real world by having this conversation with her son. Like, I don't feel like she should protect him. I don't feel like she should just coddle him. I feel like she should teach him how to prepare a mother and father. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no disrespect towards black women. I love black women.
I got you. I understand what you're saying, and I mean, I think, Damus, your answer is actually good. So like, even though I know it could probably feel a little amorphous, like it's not solid, but you were hitting on things that are important in your perspective. So like, even though you mentioned in regards to it's like the infertility, the coddling and the adultification, like kind of working hand in hand. Like one side, it's like, okay, you physically are able to be an adult, we'll say that. But on the other side, you lack, like you said, psychological. So maybe like emotional immaturity and all those kind of things. And so I would gather from your perspective, those things are more important in regards to a black man being a black man in his manhood, how he actually how he thinks, how he mostly feels and carries himself, and that's important. That influences again what your expectation or your standard is. So I'm curious to know, for the rest of the guys on the panel, like, you don't have to agree with Themis, but like, what did you see, or again, how do you define it? For some people, yeah, it is the physical thing, like, oh, or in a very extreme toxic sense. Um, and I don't know if this is the case for everybody on the panel, but like, oh, if I see a guy in my community and he's hooking up with a lot of girls, he's a man. Like, we see that and hear about it in the red pill space. So you got to have this amount of that, and that's what makes you a real man. So I'm curious to know what you all saw or see as, okay, this is this definition or the standard that now, oh, that's a black man.
Well, for that particular topic, I'm in a little bit of a bad spot on that because um, this is kind of such kind of conversations I have with my wife as far as seeing somebody in the community and stuff like that, cheating and stuff. Uh, this is a particular topic I struggle with because I do have friends who all my main friends who and all black men who do do have infidelity issues, have had infidelity issues, and not that I like. It's one of the things where like I've had a conversation with my wife where like, oh, why are you these? I'll go out on a trip with my friends, and my friends will have certain intentions, and my wife like, well, what are you gonna do there? I was like, I'm not gonna do anything. Like they're my friends, and I wouldn't engage with that. And they already told me, hey, if we're not gonna try to push you to do what we do. We're not that. If you want to just have a good time, have a good time, and I respect them for that. But but and they're not really saying they're going to do something too, but like they're just not going to push me to be that type of person. But it always that I'm not the best right now to like call that out because I don't know. Something to me doesn't want to doesn't want to call it out. I don't know. It's
I'm
just
gonna
like they're my friends, and I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
stop you real quick because
Uh-oh.
I don't want you to rabbit hole too fast, and might set yourself up. But
Yeah,
we're not gonna go there quite yet. But again, just
this is all in the past, but like nothing's happening now. But like it's just
okay.
I give it.
But going back to the question, like, when you look at other men in our community, what are things that are identifiable markers for you to say, oh, that is a black man?
Uh, I would say identifiable markers is their their selflessness. You know, putting their family over putting their family over what their own ambitions are or something they want to do. It's like, okay, I got to put my family first. You know, in this situation, like, you know, I can't go hang out this. I got to stay home. You know, my wife and my girlfriend is, you know, she's going to school doing that, and so I got to watch. I got to take more of a nurturing role and watch over our kids, stuff like that. So I would say like stepping back from you know what you know those traditional male roles are, and just be more of a nurturing role. Like I've done that before with my son, and just like being you know it's okay to be like you know the nurturer and stuff like that, and just you know why you know take care of your child and nurturing and whatnot. You don't have to be this you know I gotta be the breadwinner, and then she stays at home, or somebody's watching the kids, and I'm just kind of doing that. I think a man that a man, a good black man, is able to do both roles, you know, and not be disgruntled about it either. I think
Okay.
that's something that in the community that I like to see, and I've seen. So
Okay. I think Teddy, you're next.
Uh, I don't know what it means to be a man, genuinely. But what I think it means to be a man in the black community is to provide, maybe protect. I was gonna say protect, but I'm thinking about what I've seen in my life from my dad, but we've never had someone like physically attack us or my mom for my dad to like intervene physically. So when people say protect, I don't know, but I'm gonna say protect too with an asterisk. I would say the discipline giver of the family. So the person who, if mom's not getting results, dad comes in to lay down the law. That's what I think being a man meant to me growing up.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Hood Mystic, did you go? I think you.
I didn't answer this specific question. I would
Okay.
just say it's a simple answer. Just really the older men who had a high quality of life towards the end of their life showed me the difference between people who make good decisions versus people who make bad decisions, far as health and finances and family. You know, you can kind of really judge the difference. You can really tell when people are like 30 and 40 because we do a lot of hiding in those ages, but really it comes to the surface like at the gym or out and about, like people who having productive high quality lives towards the end. So I really look to those types of men, their wisdom, their knowledge, to show me what a man's really about.
No. Oh, go ahead, Themis, please.
Yeah. So it's interesting because the more feminist I become, the more vague the difference between how to describe a good man is from a good woman. And this is something that I'm still contending with. Like, it doesn't fully make sense in my head, because I do see there needs to be differences. There has to be. But even the notion of being a provider feels very archaic. Not because it's wrong and not because you shouldn't provide, but because to define it as such is to own the fact that most men aren't men. Like, most grown males aren't men because they can't. And women are able to and have to provide for themselves, right? So if if we define manhood as the ability to provide, are women now men because they're providing for a bunch of men? Like, most of the married people have the women being the provider, right? And so, like, if manhood is defined as the ability to provide and protect, well, women in the Black community in particular are providing and protecting their family. So are
Yeah.
they then men because of how we're defining it, and then good men because we qualify it with good? Um, it doesn't. It feels like the definition is this arbitrary thing that we want to aspire to, and if that is the case, can women also go for it? And if they can, then is that manhood? Like, it doesn't feel right. Like, when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm a man, I provide and protect," I'm like, we don't live in Gotham City. Very rarely do you need to protect anyone. And if you're protecting people, it's from other men. Women are providing for themselves. Like, the concept of man being separate in the way that they have very specific roles. I need to know what those roles are that would exclude a woman. Because if a woman can do the thing, then is that a man? Like, would that be like, are we defining manhood to exclude women from whatever role? Are we saying this is what should happen? And if so, why? Does that make sense? Does my pushback make any kind of sense?
No, yeah, I think so, and I think that's a great
Yeah.
question. I think that adds again to this conversation because that's very true. Like a lot of the things that I'm sure we all have heard and that have been considered standards of or expectations of what a man should do. Like you were mentioning, like providing. Yes, we know. I'm pretty sure statistically that Black women are making a lot more consistently than
Is that a true? Is that a truth? Do Black women make more money than Black men? Y'all have the statistic on that?
Yeah, so black men on average makes more than black women. Still, it's the smallest margin. But if you go to like cities, metropolitan area, the women tend to make more in terms of their direct income month to month than men. It is the overall calculus that puts black men at I think $2,000 to $3,000 more than black women. But if you go on an individual city basis, metropolitan area, then yes, black women do make more on average, way more on average in these cities. Now, if you come out of the city, men tend to make more than women generally. But yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, even with that, like not even having to get into statistics or whatever, but that becomes, like you said, it seems like one is an kind of archaic standard, right? And I think these are things that we have to take in consideration and that we kind of have to wrestle with because for a lot of men who are, I would say, overwhelmed by the expectation of capitalism and the patriarchy, it can set us up, believing that, okay, we have to do certain things like this to be a man. And on top of that, to be a good man. But are we limiting our existence? Are we limiting all of our experiences, our humanity to how much we make in a check? And that's a setup, So, I mean, I appreciate your pushback, Demas, and I think it is necessary that in this conversation, we can start to identify, are there other expectations and things that are probably more necessary and things that we really have to look at and examine to identify, okay, this is something that, like you said, kind of like an arbitrary thing to kind of strive for. That's necessary, though. We need something. We need some kind of marker.
But wait, so isn't that the issue though? Like, isn't that an issue? In a world where women don't need men for providing and protecting, men seem to feel kind of useless. And they're not willing to do well, I don't know if they're not willing to, but it feels like there's another part of humanity that needs to be engaged with outside of I am a man. This is what it means to be man. Is just I am a human being and you're a human being, and we are connecting as human beings. And so this is what I need to bring to the table as a human being, not as a man, because it's easy to fall into like the patriarchal sort of archetypes for men and women and say men are supposed to provide and protect, so you need to submit. That's easy. Now that you can provide, you can protect, you're not needed in those areas, how else can you show up? And it feels like men are saying, I don't have to show up any other way.
No, yeah, that's fair. And again, with that pushback, that is something that we have to critique. We have to wrestle with that, because one of my follow-up questions was, who influenced you most in establishing your standards and expectations for becoming a man? And I think that leads into the whole. It can be patriarchy. It can be something that we've picked up from elders in our community or any other media. And so, like, asking you guys, if you can remember, the sources of the messages of what makes you a man,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. I would just say I'm not going to really jump off that cliff and say that men outside of the definition of manhood is worthless and we don't have anything going on outside of protecting and providing, because women have related to me in many different ways outside of protection and providing. And so my manhood as a friend, as someone that they can talk to, so many different ways that we relate to one another, and how I found myself in so many different parameters, that it all falls into manhood for me. If somebody like Themis, whatever, he's a lawyer, that to me falls into manhood, like his career, his success, like all of it, it all compiles. So just when we have these base conversations of, well, manhood, protecting, providing, who showed you that, like, I don't think we could even assume that men even think like that, right? I think is somewhat misogynistic to even think that men even operate under, we have to protect, we have to provide, because
You,
women
I'm
deal
saying they don't. I'm saying
right.
we don't. I don't have to assume. I can look at actions and what is being said. That was
But
not an
so,
assumption.
but would you take away their manhood because they don't protect or provide?
No
And
one
then
can
can
take
we
your manhood away. That's why I say it's
ex,
so
ex,
amorphous. Like your manhood
ex,
is yours, regardless of if you're broke, rich, intelligent,
ex-
or whatever.
exactly. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. So it's like, it's a lot of human beings that teach me how to be a human being, be a good person, be somebody that thinks about the community, thinks about their family. I've seen men and women that inspire me to be a better human being, and I kind of settle in on that. And like certain masculine dynamics, you have to learn that, because when you deal with women, it's
May I ask
never
a
really taught to
question
you.
then? What is a
Mhm.
masculine dynamic?
Because like if you're taught how to be a human being and then you get into a relationship, there are unspoken rules that you have to know as a man. And if you
What?
don't know these rules, you will suffer in the dynamic.
Wait, what?
I didn't
Example.
say anything complicated. Well, if you're not, say you're not like standing up for a girl, you know what I mean? And you probably like, well, I don't want to fight this guy or whatever. You might be thinking like, she got herself into that. And if you don't stand up for her, she might be like, man, this guy didn't even stand up for me. I can't deal with him. But that would be a masculine dynamic that you're not specifically taught. Hey, make sure you stand up for her because she's gonna really
You see
expect
what
from
you just did? You just went back into the provider protector, specifically the protector dynamic. And that's, you just said we are more than that. And when I ask you for an example, you lean right back into the protector dynamic.
because I was just giving you an example. When you say
Yeah,
give me an example, I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. So
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's what you lean into, which I'm not saying you shouldn't, but the very next counter to that is like, who are they being protected from? Are men always doing this? If they don't do this, do women always leave them? And if they don't, what does that say about the women? And why do you think that they are going to sort of fall into these very rigid roles for men and women? Like, does this always happen?
can I just answer that real quickly? Because we want to have a successful relationship. And I think that from my example, and I know you're not going to agree with this, but men are willing to do anything to have a successful relationship besides what
You
we
see,
actually
absolutely
need.
not. No, trash, trash,
I know you're
absolute
not going to
trash.
agree with it, but
No, it's not agree. No, no, no. That is inaccurate. That is a false statement. How you gonna say men will do anything to have a successful relationship while they're cheating? That don't make sense.
Because you're gonna like the converse how you lean straight into cheating. The majority
No,
of men, that's what you just did, but the
yes.
majority of men cannot access women at a high level to even exist in the realm of cheating,
The
right?
men
Cheating.
who literally can get a woman probably can cheat too. And the fact that we have such high rates of cheating, for you to make the claim, your positive claim is that men will do whatever it takes to stay in a relationship and be good in that relationship, right? To have that,
Yeah,
maintain that relationship. You can't
as
make
a
that
man, yeah.
claim while men are cheating. If cheating ends a relationship, one of the reasons, finance is one of them, but cheating is also for divorce. Men are cheating on their wives and these wives are filing divorce. If men care about their relationship not ending and they would do quote unquote anything to maintain their relationship, they wouldn't be cheating and thus the relationship wouldn't be ending due to cheating. I don't know what you mean.
I mean, you're not factoring remorse. You're not factoring in the
No.
provocations. You're like, say, for instance, a man is not getting sex in his relationship, which happens a lot in marriage dynamics. And if a man wants to have sex, you're calling it cheating and he should do something else. Like, I mean, in
I
reality,
am
a man
calling
is
it
going to
cheating.
get sex.
I am
Yeah,
calling. What do you mean I'm
but
calling?
that's
Is it not
because
cheating? Is
it's
it
not
not cheating?
cheating. It's a blanket term that you use to defend ruining the family, ruining the relationship. So
So
it's
if
not
a man, wait, I have a question. If a man wants sex and the wife doesn't give it to him, and he goes out and sleep with someone else, is that not cheating?
if he's married and his
Uh,
wife is not having sex with him and
Yes.
he goes to have sex with someone else, he is not cheating. He is within his right as a human being to satisfy a biological need. If I
You
don't
and
get
him,
if
you and whoever that man is trash. That is
I mean,
trash.
but
That is trash. Not
that
sorry,
is
not
that is
you.
an
That
ad
is
hom.
trash.
But I'm saying the concept is you ad hominem to like say it's
That
trash,
is trash.
but
What
the
is cheating
reality
then?
of it
What is
happening
cheating?
at a large
What
level
is
means that
cheating
there's
then?
something real about it.
What is
Cheating,
cheating?
cheating to me is when you more or
I didn't
less.
ask you what cheating is to you. It feels like
I
I'm
don't.
talking. What
I
is
don't. I don't.
cheating?
I mean, cheating is a concept that women really just kind of lean on to separate or have a leg to stand on in relationship dynamics. Like the reality of cheating and all of these types of things, it depends on the man, right? Because you might deal with a guy that
I
attracts
don't
a
care
lot
about
of
what this
women.
man gotta say. Like we can move on. I literally don't
Yeah,
care.
I'm gonna draw you back a little bit, Hood Mystic. So earlier, before we got on the cheating in the relationship dynamic, because I noticed that you mentioned that a few times, not the cheating part, but like the relationship dynamics in regards to, uh, my initial question about what are these. Well, my initial question was, who influenced you most in establishing your standards and expectations for becoming a man? And you sort of pushed back and kind of like dodged it by saying that um, mainly focus on like, yeah, for yourself, it's really been about certain qualities of being a good human being, right? Or being a human being. But
Mhm.
then you jumped into the relationship thing and gave that example to Themis about like, oh, well, um, if we're in a relationship, a man and a woman, something pops off, there's this expectation for the man to show up and protect, right? And so
Mhm.
that in itself, you're starting to touch on what I was talking about. Like there are, regardless of how you want to define it, in regard, being a human being or whatever, there are expectations that are placed on us as men. Like,
Mhm.
and we have to confront those. We have to see them.
Right.
We have
And
right.
you
And
see
so
them in your relationship. That's where
right.
it comes out at.
But also
You don't
relationship.
really know it's a problem until like it showed up it right in
So
your
we just
face.
gonna sit up here and allow this man to say that he can go out and cheat on his wife and not
I
call it
never
cheating.
I never said that. You're taking what I'm saying and acting like I'm saying go out and cheat. But at the same time, I feel like we could always have a conversation in relation to whatever is happening emotionally and mentally. So maybe I don't go out and cheat. Right. So I'm not saying like if I say, all
You
right,
said the man was
I'm having thoughts
exercising.
about I'm saying I'm having thoughts about having sex with another woman. Is that a natural thing to have? whether you're married or not?
Do you
Do
have
all human
discipline?
beings?
Wait. The question is, do you have discipline? Not do you feel a type of way when you see women? The question is, do you
Right,
have
but
discipline to stay committed to your marriage, which you signed vows to? You wouldn't see a woman like passed out. Hopefully, you wouldn't see a woman passed out and say, well, I have needs as a man, and just decide to do whatever you want to do just because you
yeah,
have
but
needs.
you know that's
Hopefully,
an
you would have
extreme
some type of
scenario. That's an extreme scenario. Of course
hopefully,
not.
but the point is, hopefully, you would have some type of discipline, right? And you're not ruled by what happened, the chemical processes that happen in your body, right? Like
Right.
I hope you have that.
Yeah, I'm not even saying that I think that a man should go out and have sex with a woman because he has needs. Only thing that I said is if a man doesn't have sex within his relationship for 8 months and he's wanting to have sex, and then it's a girl that's giving him positive energy, I think at a certain point, what is the point of withholding sex within a relationship? That's specifically what I
That's
was
not
talking
the
about.
issue, though. The issue is not whether or not there's a withholding of sex. It could be 10, 20 years for all I care. The moment you go outside of your marriage and your vows to go sleep with another woman, you have cheated. I'm confused as to why that is a issue for you to conceptualize.
It's not an issue for me. Like I didn't never say it was an issue. And I didn't say that men should go out and have sex with other women. But if we're having a conversation where we're trying to understand masculine energy or what it means to be a good man, we're gonna have to tackle the sex thing in
So you think
reality.
that's a good
But if
man?
we don't,
Wait.
but if we
So
don't talk
would,
about it, then
would
it's just be under the rug.
would that be a good man? Since we're here, let's go down the dusty road. Would that be a good man who goes out and sleep after 8 months of no sex, go out and sleep with another woman? Is that a good man?
If you're gonna identify
Is
him
that a
from
good
that
man? Yes.
action,
Could that be a
depend
good man?
on if we're labeling a good man, we're going to talk about everything that he does good to give him the
Is
title
that
of
a
a good
good
man.
action?
It doesn't wipe away his good manness.
Is
If
that
we're gonna,
it does for me, but is that a good action?
after 8 months, I think that's a noble action.
All right, so
After
no
8
one else
months,
has
yes.
anything.
I got something for Hood Mystic. So, Hood Mystic, with this man that had 8 months with no sex with his wife, has this man actually explored why his wife hasn't had sex with him for 8 months?
Of course, he's willing to talk about it, go to therapy, communicate, all of that. He wants to have sex with his wife. He wants to explore. He wants to be attractive to his wife. He wants to be loved by his wife. He wants to have a positive relationship. Men would do anything for a positive relationship.
They do.
Wait,
But
sorry, wait.
what?
I feel like you don't. Maybe men who have these ideas really don't have the range for these conversation, because, like, you can't say that and then say, "Oh, men will do anything but not cheat for a positive relationship." That your statement doesn't even make sense. And us sitting up here having a conversation with you, pretending like you're making sense, is like bothering me, because nothing you're saying right now makes sense.
I mean, but you could be disrespectful to me and act like that's wisdom, but it's not. If you're bothered, deal with it internally.
No, I'm not. I am bothered because of how disgusting a statement you're making and
I
proclaiming.
don't think a man should go outside of his marriage to have sex with a woman.
Why?
Because a relationship is sacred.
But then if they
Marriage
don't
is
have like,
sacred.
but then you're saying it's noble that he. What does noble mean to you when he cheats?
I mean, I don't feel like a man should suffer because he's married. Like, I feel like it should be both people making sure that it's a mutual, pleasurable experience. And I don't feel like we should just negate a man's sexual energy just
Can you
because he's
leave the
married.
relationship if you're not satisfied?
I mean, people get divorces every day. So
Exactly.
what?
So why
Yeah.
won't you call it what it is? Cheating. She's not giving you what you want. You went out, you cheated, and then in the same breath you're saying men will do anything to keep the relationship. Anything but
Because
decide.
do you understand that cheating is to keep the relationship? Cheating is to so he doesn't have to get a divorce.
Ooh.
So he satisfies that need so he could be in the like that's what it really resorts to a lot of times.
No, and that's a problem.
That is a problem.
So, and in regards to first thing I was trying to say a little bit earlier before we got down this rabbit hole, sex does not have to define a man. So there are a lot of men who are single who aren't in relationships and they can still be a good man. So like if you're, I really want you to maybe take a step back and continue to analyze and critique what a man is, because I understand what you were saying about there's certain things that we won't find out about ourselves as men or our manhood outside of relationship, but we are all parts of a larger community that we are constantly in relationship with. So like I could be single for the rest of my life, and that does not mean I have to have sex with anybody, and that doesn't take away from manhood. Like I don't have to any of that, you know what I'm saying? So like, but what you're doing is really squashing and limiting the man's experience to sex and romantic relationships. Like our life is more than that.
But then when I spoke to the human aspect, you said that I was flip-flopping. So I'm multi-dimensional in real life. I can talk about things outside of sex from all different angles. So it's just like I'm just talking about reality. You know what I mean?
Right.
If y'all
And
can't handle reality, then it's cool. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to tackle this as a man. You gotta
absolutely.
understand it.
Absolutely. And nobody's like, with the rest of us on this panel, we're literally just pointing out like the contradictions that we're hearing. And so like, I wasn't saying that you're flip-flopping. I was trying to point out,
Elucidate the contradiction.
just a second ago, you were saying like you are not for men going outside of their marriage. But in this whole
Right.
conversation, you're making space for a man to go outside of his marriage. That is a contradiction.
If I said that, I don't think a man should go outside his relationship for
But you
sex.
support him doing it.
I don't
No,
support
you not
him
only
doing
said that, you
it.
said it is quote noble when
Right.
I don't think, but we're giving an example. I don't think like I'm with a woman and I'm like, all right, baby, I'm about to leave, about to go have sex with this girl. I think that is trash. I don't think a man should ever do that. And y'all putting this jacket on me, like I keep saying it over and over again. I believe in family. I believe in the emotional sanctity of the woman, all of that through being a faithful partner.
So
This
why
is
would
what
you
I
say,
truly believe in.
So
right?
you are faithful up until you don't have sex, then you go cheat.
I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying that. Like
You
I
just gave that
pride
example.
myself, but this is like I understand. Like I wouldn't never. I understand it. Like y'all acting like y'all don't understand it, and it's just the most bizarre shit that you ever heard.
I
Like,
don't
come on.
understand it. I don't
Well,
understand. Go ahead, Jamal. Sorry.
No, like, because what you're saying, again, this is the contradiction. You're saying you're pro family, all that men do, all the things or whatever to be in a happy relationship.
Mhm.
On the other hand, you're saying if a man doesn't get sexual satisfaction from his wife after a certain period of time, it is okay for him to step out of that relationship to get that need. And you've said it, to get that need met to save the relationship.
I mean, I wouldn't fault that. I mean, I would understand. Like I wouldn't say
Right.
like
Your
that's
understanding is in support of
like
it.
I'm having empathy for that particular man. Yeah,
Right.
because I am a man. Like so I would understand what he's going through.
And
Yes.
this is the
If somebody
contradiction.
told me that scenario, I would not shame that man for doing that, especially if he's still maintaining his family structure and doing everything that is expected of him. And he, for one night, decided to step outside of his marriage for sex. I'm not going to demonize him. As a liberal, being raised as a liberal person, I mean, shit, it's just what it just kind of comes with the territory of life at this point.
Also, that's the
And I'm
same
not.
thing for women then. Like a woman can step out one night.
you know it's not going to be one night. Come on, Hood Mystic.
No. I'm asking Hood Mistake.
Oh, okay.
Can a woman, if she's dealing with a man and she's not getting none of her needs met and she's having the conversation and having the communication, I
Yeah.
would not fault that woman at all for 1 second for getting her rocks off. I'll be like, go ahead, do your thing. Because if it's making you feel stressed out at everything else in your life and you like, I just want to release. And she said, he just won't do nothing. And I'm like, well, go ahead and do that. You know, I personally just look at it as a human thing. I don't, and like, well, should I ruin my marriage for that? Like, I don't think you ruining your marriage because part of the marriage vows and having sex with a virgin, all of that, I feel like is a real concept, that the sexual relationship between man and woman is a very powerful thing. So if that's not being expressed in marriage, that's
Yeah,
a
how did
problem.
virgin come up?
Because I'm saying that is a problem if you're not having sex within your marriage. Y'all don't agree?
You know, what you mentioned was a little bit different. It was a lot different from that. Those are two separate things. But because you definitely mentioned virgin, and I maybe you were just in a flow and you didn't realize what you were saying. But
no, I'm saying like the original meaning of the Christian church is that you marry a virgin because that is a sexual thing, right? You like, but I know this society have advanced to,
Wait, are
you
you a
marry.
Christian? I didn't think you were Christian, Hood Mystic.
I grew up, I said that in the introduction. I grew up Christian, and I'm
Yes.
just laying out the bylaws, like that's kind of one of those things. And did we not grow up in a society that, said, you should wait to have sex till you get married? Y'all never heard that before?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Like, come on, let's stop trying to
but
shame me. Like, relax.
but you should you covet another woman now?
Yeah, it's right there next
No,
to no sex
no, you
before
shouldn't.
marriage.
No,
Right
no,
next
you
to that is
shouldn't.
have sex with
No, you
someone else if your wife doesn't. It's right next to no sex before marriage. If you look at Ephesians 22, chapter 1, it's right underneath no sex before marriage. You can actually see it in the Bible.
Yeah.
I wanted to clear that up. I don't want us to attack this young man.
No, I appreciate that, Agent P. I appreciate that. Again, from what I'm noticing, because I still wanted to hear the other answers from everybody else, but like what I'm noticing from you, Hood Mystic, and it's okay. Everybody on this panel can have their differing perspectives, whether we agree with them or not. But it seems like for you, the way that you hold your standards is very fluid. And if that's your perspective and that's how you want to move, okay, that's cool.
I think we all answered like we don't really know what manhood is, and that's a fluid basis. Like Demas said the same thing. So I mean,
I
that's
didn't
just
say your stand. Let me be very clear. Your standards are trash. When you are advocating that it is noble that a man, after 8 months of no intercourse,
I also
can go
said
out
it's
and
noble
cheat.
for a woman too. So let's call it square. Let's
Oh,
call it
you think I
square.
care? I
I
asked
mean,
you that not caring because it would be really inconsistent and you would be dragged if you hadn't said it. So I would assume you would say it, but a woman cheating is trash. A man cheating is also trash. If you if you don't have the capacity to maintain your covenant, whatever you want to call it, then you're a terrible person. Talking about, oh, men will do anything. Apparently, they'll do anything besides stay faithful. Talking about men should provide and protect. You don't even know what the idea that you think men can go out there and cheat when they don't get what they want in a relationship means that you don't understand at all what it means to be providing and protecting. So before we even get past, in my mind, patriarchy to come to this new world, first we need to learn patriarchy and learn like the biblical aspect of what it means to be a good, faithful man before we even try to move past it. Because to sit up here, and this is very frustrating to me, because you sit up here and say, oh, it is noble of the man because he's trying to keep his relationship if he goes out and cheat. And everyone is just sitting up here, not everyone, but to sit and think we can converse with someone who holds that, not only holds that idea, but is degenerate enough to spill that out into the public and take ownership of it in front of people is disgusting. And then we feel like the idea we are talking about whether or not the good black man and what it means to be a good black man. Well, exhibit A of what a bad black man is. This is what a man should not be. Like,
but you don't believe in conflict resolution.
I don't care what you have to say. If you don't have self-control,
I mean, you're projecting. You're projecting at this point.
Do not interrupt me. If you cannot protect yourself and not cheat, like I don't understand why you even think you're a good black. Maybe you don't. Wait, maybe I should. Do you think you're a good black man?
I mean, I know that I'm a good man. I'm not a color.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he. This is what not a good, and this also highlights that people who are terrible people tend to not know that they're terrible people. So it is what it is. Now I'll
I
go
mean,
back
from
on
a
mute.
conversation that like you can't just call me a terrible person when you
You
don't know
are.
me.
I think you are a terrible
I mean,
person.
but you're a project. That's called projection. That's a
No, it's
psychological
called
term. Google
deduction.
it.
I
You
am
don't know
deducing from what
me.
you are saying. I, based on what you're saying, I have deducted that you are a terrible person. So that.
Projection because it's coming from you.
No, that's not what
I know.
projection
Yeah,
means.
yeah.
Because I say it doesn't mean it's projection.
But because you don't know me to call me a terrible person.
I
I
don't
didn't.
have
It's
to
not
know
projection.
you. I
It's
can look at
deduction.
what you've done.
Yeah.
What I've done, I haven't done anything. I haven't
You have
cheated.
said
Express your
that
views
it's
and your
okay to
perspective.
cheat. Your philosophy makes you a terrible person. It is a character issue.
What
Not
wouldn't
I
only did
project?
you
didn't.
say it's
Oh,
okay
I
to
didn't
cheat, you
say.
said
I
it's
didn't say
noble.
it was okay to cheat.
You did.
I've,
You said you wouldn't call it cheating, but it is cheating. So it's a terrible thing. Yes.
but this is also gaslighting too, because you're saying that I said something that I didn't say. I clearly said that it's not okay to cheat, and I said that more than once.
But
So
you said it's noble that you step out on your marriage, your relationship to go sleep with someone else.
I mean, I feel like that would be to save his relationship, to not say, let's get a divorce because you're not having sex with me. I don't think that would be, I would think that would be ignoble.
Hood missing,
can
seriously. In this
can I?
situation, in
And
this,
I don't want to stir up negative emotions in none of y'all because y'all can never do that to me. And nothing that you can say about me has nothing to do with me because once again, you don't know me. And you're pigeonholing me into these things that is not even what
You
I'm even
pigeonhole
saying.
yourself into
yeah,
that. No one did that. You did that. You said this. You literally did all of that on your own. No one told you to do it. No one forced you
not
to
at
do
all.
it. You came out there and advocated for your degeneracy. You did that all on your own, by yourself, with no help.
So Hood
And
Mystic,
Jamal was trying to protect you previously.
Hood Mystic. I got. Oh,
Go ahead, Orange Phil.
let me say. So, well, first you kept using projection. That is not projection. Would mean that like Demas is out there cheating too, so he's trying to project towards you. So
No,
that you still
terrible person is him. He didn't call me a cheater. He called me a terrible person. So
no.
don't say he didn't call me a cheater. So he said terrible person. That is from inside of him.
No,
That's
I
what
was
he
saying the word.
sees in me. He sees the terrible person in me that he can't see within himself. So therefore, I have to be a terrible person
Oh no,
because he can't call himself a
it's
terrible
based off of what
person.
you're saying. Now, I think
No, it's not based off what I'm
this is going to
saying,
be.
though. I'm not saying anything
It's
bad.
quite literally. It is. We are in disagreement
It's your
about this topic.
opinion.
No,
Right,
it's
and
a
it's a
disagreement.
disagreement.
It's a disagreement. All the rest of us disagree with you. So
Yeah.
I think if it's not going to be.
Disagree with me on what though? What do you disagree about?
I'm not circling this drain. We're not doing that. Like we're not.
My other
Go ahead,
point to
Orange
him
Phil.
was that so you would say in this hypothetical situation after 8 months of not having sex, and the man, which I don't believe men would do this, explore the reasons why she would not have sex with you for 8 months, but therapy and all this stuff, I don't believe majority of men would even do that. But so he would cheat to save the marriage. Would he, after he would cheat, after this 5 minutes of pleasure, would he then tell his wife what he did, or would he hide that?
We can read the super chats and then come back to it.
Hey,
It is
Mister, did
cheating.
you?
It is cheating when you have sex and you don't say. So that's the premise
So
of cheating.
he wouldn't admit to it afterwards. He wouldn't say, "Hey, by the
If
way,
he's
I did this."
lying, if he's lying about having sex with a woman, he is at fault, 100% at fault. If like you should be able to have the honest conversation and say, all right, like I think I need to have sex at some point. Like, is there something that we could do? You know what I mean? But if he's just going in a hotel and not telling anybody, it's going to get real bad real fast because he probably going to do it again and keep doing it again. And you know what I'm saying? It's just get real bad. So he have to have a level of honesty to get out of the cheating box.
The cheating box. Okay, so 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 that in that aspect that would be saving the marriage if he admitted to the cheating, not if he had it, because we never explored him actually telling the truth about it and stuff like that. We just explored him
I
cheating,
feel
but
like
now you're like,
he should tell the truth the beginning, middle, and the end. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if he lies about it at all, it's going to come back on him. And just like y'all doing in the chat, it don't matter what his reasoning is. He is wrong, wrong, wrong. Because once again, he's lying, and that betrayal is the emotional like damage that's taking place that you can't really recover from. And men have been cheated on, women have been cheated on. It's very traumatic. It's something that is hard to recover from. So not lying and deceit and betrayal, like that's really, it's hard.
So
We can read.
Stacey,
We can take a break and read some
okay,
super chats. Sorry.
yeah, maybe.
As a good black man, it's my right to cheat on my wife. Yeah, I'll just add having him with mistake. Chica has been a member for 25 months. Thank you. These men don't take long to go from good men to I can't believe this is actually the conversation we're having now. Do y'all remember when Hood Mystic said he was voting for RFK but couldn't name one policy of
Oh,
RFK? Now he hits us with the remorse. I don't care what y'all say. Hood Mystic is the entertainment. One time for remorse.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
not RFK.
I don't think you understand when they say you are the entertainment. I don't. That's not
But
a
understand,
compliment.
but you cannot, y'all not like affecting me in a negative way. Y'all only speaking in reference to your own personal energy. So y'all really have to understand this. Like
Hey
y'all
everybody,
cannot,
I'm moving in
y'all cannot
silence.
deduce,
All right,
y'all
yeah,
cannot
that's fine.
deduce
That's
your
I'm
fine.
moving
personal
in
opinion
silence.
towards me.
That sounds like some hood mystic
I'm
foolishness. So
moving
I
in
don't really
silence,
care.
everyone. I'm moving in silence. I'm making big moves in silence, everybody. I'm moving in silence. Big moves over here in silence.
Oh my God.
Daddy, why are you like this?
You can
You
tell that
home-
I'm doing the thing that I'm saying because I'm saying it. You homeschool your kids? Stop it now. Stop homeschooling your children, Hood Mystic. I better
Wait,
not hear.
yeah, you are homeschooling here. Go ahead, Petty. Sorry.
I better not hear any man complain about their wives cheating when they have Edie at 60. Rolling eyes emoji.
Not ED. Oh God.
Yes, Orange Pill, you're back as my sole provider. Heart times 2 heart. There's a woman out there that let him hunch. And you have the nerve to say that the men who are able to cheat have to cross some threshold. I promise you they don't. And this is exactly why I wouldn't grow with a man through the type of mindsets they shared in the intros. They don't change. Hood Mystic head rattles when he shakes his head. Go ahead, Hood Mystic. Can you shake your head for us, please?
Oh my gosh.
Hood Mystic.
What's up?
Could you
I
shake
mean,
your
I
head?
don't even know. I don't know what that means. So
Like from side to side. All right, never mind. Did we not see in the news a black serial rapist down in a lockup pull a Spider-Man to attempt to grape a woman, and other news stories down to ID?
I did see that. That was crazy.
I didn't see that. I did see the young man in the supermarket apparently did some stuff on somebody's leg and then just ran away. It's unfortunate out here. Okay, so y'all Christian black men are virgins, right? And you are all saving yourselves for marriage, right? Okay, seems legit. Hood Mystic, did you save yourself for marriage?
I'm just giving the context.
So you did save yourself for marriage?
No, I didn't. Unfortunately, I wish I did though.
Well, cheater in chief. Well, who needs to follow the Bible? Not Christians. Cheater in chief. Do you think black women will think and deem you a good black man after this live?
As far as me,
I guess
think,
so.
as far as me, I think any woman with common sense would, but you know, that sense is not common. So understanding everything that I'm saying has a certain level of context and variation. So it's just reality.
I think you have to be at least a level 3 intellect to understand what you're saying, in my opinion. Level 3, I
mean,
think, is around 6 years old. Level 17 would be, I think, 25 and over. So we don't see evidence of their behavior daily. I think we do, Moshe. Is that the last one? Not hood mystic weaponizing therapy speak. Oh, I read an article about that. It's giving triggered, a seat on a couch needed. So the chat at least thinks you're triggered, but you said you're not, so I can't define what you feel. We, the Black women audience, deem you a terrible person based on your words alone. You told us who you were. You're just mad we are believing you and actually listening. I think what they're saying is we're not projecting and we're not putting words in your mouth. Rather, we're listening to what you're saying and we're deeming the values that you hold or don't hold rather bad. So we are listening to you, believing what you're saying, and we find it bad.
and I understand, but there's such concepts as like the hive mind that are real things that actually exist, and it could pertain to this chat,
What's the
whether you know
hive
it or not.
mind?
I mean, look it up. You know what I mean? But I don't want to seem like I'm triggered or anything, or like all of these negative words being spewed towards me. You know what I mean? And that's the overall. And y'all acting like I'm pushing this conversation forward, but it's more or less y'all responses to what I'm actually saying. It's not what I'm saying; it's how you feel about it. Because
Valid.
if it was completely pointless and it didn't matter, it would be like, man, this stupid ass MFer. Let's just move on. I can't believe, but you're saying that, but your emotions are not in alignment with what you're actually saying, right?
Well,
Because as
I'll
crazy as it is, I could easily just get kicked out of the live and life could just continue on. But it's
absolutely,
like this is
absolutely,
entertaining, and I'm just being
absolutely
so
not.
disrespectful and so negative. But I don't personally feel that I'm being negative with anything that I'm saying.
The reason
If you
that I'm trying to engage with you is because I see you as a Black man. And since the whole topic of this conversation is about good Black men in our community, I think it's important to try to have engaging conversations with one another. And to be honest, one of the questions that I had on my list was, what are, I guess, common or potential flaws of Black men? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, homie. Like, I think something that maybe you don't notice it, but that you struggle with is like you are not willing to have a standard for yourself and even for other people in the community. And that is a problem within our community, particularly for men, that we do not have an agreement on what a standard is. And that's why it's so difficult to have these kind of conversations, because we can't come to an agreement to say, this is what we're going to do as men in our community for the benefit of our community, regardless of romantic relationships. It can be you talked about, you have children and you are trying to raise your son, right?
Mhm.
You're trying to raise your son. It's going to be very difficult to raise your son to get to a better place without a good standard framework. Maybe you've seen it before, that there are when tree saplings are planted, they are given like usually stakes that go next to them to help them grow straight. What you are doing in this conversation, and I get what you're doing, because it's really a defense mechanism. You don't want to be solid so that you can't be touched. But the thing
But
is,
I would just have to
no,
say, just like I understand.
hold up real quick. Let me finish. Like, the way that you're moving, again, it's common. It's common within our community, particularly for men. It is very avoidant. It is very defensive, and it keeps us from actually having something to build off of to move forward. Because if you keep changing what is okay, if you keep changing standards, if you keep making excuses and making parameters, we can never have anything consistent. And so that's what I'm going back to with the stakes and the tree sapling. I would hope, and I believe you do, because you care about your son, you're going to put parameters in place that keep it consistent so that he can grow upwards to be the best version of himself. But if
Yeah,
you
and
are if you are not doing that for yourself, though, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him to see you as an example.
And I just please want you to understand that in this household, in my life, in everything that I do, I pride myself on structure and discipline and having order. I understand the power of entropy, and I understand that it's very important to be in the mode of order at all times and structure. So your inference is incorrect.
I'm not talking about making your bed in the morning, man. I'm
I'm
talking.
not talking, I mean, but you keep making deeper inferences that are incorrect. I'm not talking about making my bed in the morning either. You don't have to disagree with me and down me at the same time. As a black man, you must understand and understand that.
I'm not downing you. What I'm
You
doing is
are, you are, you
pointing
are
out.
though. You
I'm
are though.
pointing out. I'm pointing out the
And it's cool,
inconsistencies
but you
that
can
I see.
accept the fact that you are speaking down when you don't know.
Hood Mystic, you're projecting. Jamal is not downing you.
I'm making an observation, just like you would make an observation, because that's what you've been doing, right? You've been trying to say everybody's pretty much coming up against you, calling you trash and all this stuff.
I don't think
All we're
that. I
doing,
don't think
we're
that.
making
No, I don't think that.
observations. I'm making an observation, and I'm trying
I
to
don't
tell
think that
you.
everybody's making that same observation, is what I'm saying. Like you assume this and then you're going with it and it feels good, but you are incorrect because I just said that I pride myself on structure, saying that your inference was wrong. But you assume that I didn't have structure or I don't believe in structure as a man. And I'm just letting you know that you are incorrect. That's not true. But you want to go back on that? That doesn't make sense to me.
I'm not going back on anything I'm saying. And I'm not speaking for everybody else. I'm speaking for myself. Like I said, the reason I'm engaging with you is because I see a black man that I care about in my community. And I think this conversation is important.
Why do you see black though? He said he's not a color.
I know what I see. I know what I see. So that's all I can do is speak off of what I'm seeing in my perspective. And I'm going off of the things that I hear you say. That's all I can work with is what you're communicating and what you are making available. That's it. And based off of the things that you have said here on this panel, just in this section, because it really, we were going okay up until we got to this point. But I'm telling you, from what I'm seeing as another person that is making observations just like you in the rest of this world, there are inconsistencies that.
Can you label those inconsistencies clearly?
You keep asking for that, and he keeps doing that, and you keep deflecting.
Yeah.
I just would like just it could be like two words though. You act like that's a difficult thing to
It
ask.
is noble to
Because
cheat.
if you say
I'm against cheating, it is noble to cheat.
okay.
Well,
I mean,
All right,
it
continue
goes
reading,
to,
Petty. Petty, keep reading the super chat so we can get through them.
Good effort, Jamal. So he's not a cheater, just a cheater apologist. I can't stand fake smart. Oh my God, there's this amazing joke, but I can't remember it. I think it's from Cat Williams. He's like, there is nothing worse than a smart, dumb person. It's amazing, and I recommend it. He has a smooth brain. No ridges or lumps. No valleys or bumps. All ideas slide right off. And he wouldn't rattle it for us. Rattle it for us. Rattle it for us. Hive minds to moth. The end. Zzz. He uses fancy words. Hood Mystic, who is that in that picture you have?
this is me.
Oh. Okay. He uses fancy words and phrases to seem smarter than what he is, then uses them into jester area babble.
I never said that I was smart. I never claimed to be smart.
Well, why are you using words you have no busy using? Y'all stop typing fast because it's not a good look if y'all trying to call somebody out and y'all misspell busy, unless busy is slang. It might be me. My bad. The community lives in the gray area. Proof 2024. Inner stand. I share myself outside my marriage. Appreciate you, Jamal, for trying to help the dust transform into a beneficial Black man. Male egos won't allow themselves to be helped and guided. Hotepery and Negrotheticals. Oh my. Avoid noble, multidimensional cheaters out there. Put a 1 in the chat if the inference was correct.
That was the last one. You can continue the stream, Jamal.
Well, Hood Mystic, I will say that I've known many men that have cheated for many different reasons, and none of them were ever any valid reasons to cheat. And I would say that, before my wife, when it was just kind of me just out there doing what I wanted to, sex like that has consequences, and there's never nothing good that comes out of it. And of just kind of just doing whatever out there. And and then when it comes to just the cheating thing, every instance I've seen it, there's always been repercussions. It's never been this, oh, we've grown stronger together. It's always shown more mistrust, more or just divorce or separation. So this idea that, oh, it'll just make us better, or it'll keep you keep our relationship strong. I've never seen a situation where a man is cheated and then all of a sudden, she understood and all that stuff. But if they have stayed together, she trusted him way less. And now she's just watching his every move. It's not like, okay, well, he had his reasons, and at least he told me. So I don't know. I don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, there's certain relationship dynamics that we won't be able to talk about, and it'll just be so crazy if I say it. So I'll just refrain from it. But we all just trying to learn how to relate to one another better. But when a man says something, and I'm not classified as a good man within this chat, but if any man says something that doesn't agree with your inner dynamics, it shouldn't garner this type of response. Do y'all guys agree or disagree?
A man saying that they should cheat, be able to cheat, should be dragged mercilessly across the internet.
Wait, what was that? What was that question? I'm sorry, I missed it. What'd you say? What was that question?
So if you disagree with a statement that is in relation to fidelity, and you can also understand that women cheat on men as well, that's a thing, right? In reference, like Cardi B just said she was cheating while pregnant. So
that was not what was said.
Okay, well, maybe the underlying theme of the conversation, reference, like the sensationalism around it, was that she had sex, and the commentary around that was just like, good for her. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what she should have did.
She should have been done that. Yeah, but not cheated.
Right. But she should have left. Right. She should have got a divorce. She should have separated. But
they separated, and she filed for divorce. Yeah.
Right. So all I'm saying is that I don't agree with cheating, but cheating is a thing that we should be able to go through without saying, let's just drag him mercifully. Because at the end of the day, if we can talk about it, maybe we can prevent the cheating from ever happening. So do y'all think that this response should be given? Because what you do,
the only talk we need to talk about it is drag the man who is cheating. You should not.
But what about the woman is cheating? What if the woman is cheating? She should get dragged
her too. I don't care nothing about man or woman. You should not be cheating. I hate cheaters, and I will drag all of them.
Well, in your particular example, Mystic, about Cardi B, who cheated first and how many times?
I mean, but cheating is bad across the board, though. Like, we got to establish that. So, like, what is your Me
I think it
too.
was
And
noble
it's
of her.
and a lot of women feel what she did was noble. Are y'all dragging the women who feel that what she did was noble, even if she didn't do it? The
The
idea
fact
is
that
she
you're
did
trying
do
to
it.
equate the one good thing let me not say that out loud on here, but the fact that you want people to drag Cardi for sleeping with another man is wild to me.
See, but like like the way that y'all feel about me, the way I feel the same way about y'all. Like that is crazy to me that y'all can't understand how crazy that is. Like that's just like men and women should be treated equally in a feminist world.
Yeah,
But
Dennis was saying that they both
I
should
mean,
be
Offset
dragged.
is a degenerate, dusty rapper who has been cheating ever since they got in a relationship. She has gotten convictions and had to do community service because of his cheating ways. Like, you know what, Jamal, please take over because I don't want to. We have a little limited
I mean, you
time.
ain't brought up Offset. You just started straight at Cardi B. You skipped over half majority of the story.
Yeah.
You never brought up
Archfield,
Offset. But yeah, what's
I
up?
Archfield,
mean,
you said
but is his cheating a reason for her to cheat? Like y'all, because there's no reason for a man to
Where
cheat.
did she
But
cheat? Show me. Give me
obviously,
proof. Give me
no.
proof that she cheated. Give me proof. Where's the proof that she cheated?
Where's the proof that Cardi B cheated? I
That's what
mean
I'm
that
asking you
Offset
for.
cheated rather.
He admitted
I
it
don't.
and apologized for it. That's the proof.
I mean, and did seems like an
No,
admission to me,
pause.
but
Go ahead. Sorry. I didn't know that was
and,
you.
and did seems like an admission of cheating. Like and did
No, there was
bunch of
no
exclamation
accusation of
marks.
cheating. There was no accusation of cheating. It was you slept with someone while you were pregnant.
And then it was the Instagram live saying, "I just need to find a man better than you." Like
Yes,
if
they're broken up.
Is that cheating? So where's the cheating at? That's what I'm trying to figure
like
out.
I mean, if they're not divorced yet and she's having sex with another man, whether she's broken up or not, shouldn't what if he cheated when they was broken up at a previous time? Relationships like
Probably.
that be on and off.
So you just
So
go make stuff up. They
no,
said they announced to the world that they were broken up. He never said, "Oh, you cheated on me." He said you slept with someone while you were pregnant. They've been broken up. So are you saying people cannot date anyone else if you are separated?
are we talking about marriage or are we not talking about marriage? Because this is going to be confusing to me, I promise you.
Yes, I'm talking about marriage. When you are married to someone and you're separated, is it cheating?
Yeah, it's still cheating if you're still married. That's the
So it is.
purpose of divorce.
So it is cheating if you are separated and you go sleep with someone, but it's not cheating if you're in a relationship, a marriage, and after 8 months of not having sex, you went out and sleep with
It-
someone
it-
else. That's not.
I
So
mean, it
we're
still
done.
is cheating.
I'm
It's still
removing you. No, I'm done. Sorry. We can do whatever you want and close it off. Let me remove him.
It's okay.
Absolutely not.
So this night went interesting.
I'm not sitting there doing that with him.
No, that's valid. Yeah, there are only like 2 minutes left. So what I wanted to do was point out some of the stuff that you all shared in our discussion as good traits that I think should be attributed to a good man. One was effective communication. Another one was taking responsibility. Another one was selflessness. The fourth one I have here is emotional maturity. And the last two, which we kind of left off on, was provision and protection. But these are things that were identified from our conversation we shared individually, that these are things that we saw and that we pointed out as, oh, no, this is something that a man should do. These are good things. These are beneficial things. Yeah, I had a lot more that I wanted. I had a lot more that I wanted to discuss. And I will say one, I want to go back to the beginning again. I appreciate you guys being transparent and sharing your stories and being honest, because there are things there that we could have kind of dug into. But I get it. This is, I'm sure you all aware, and I know Themis, I know you'd be tired because I know you don't be wanting to do these men's panels. But it's a lot of work to try to work with brothers. And I get it. Like, again, I try to have a level of patience, because I know I there are times when I didn't have good perspective on things, but I understand it's hard, and I can totally understand why it's very, very difficult for our sisters to deal with this. If it's hard for us to deal with one another, it's damn near hard as hell to deal with this. So I get it. But I do want to say again, thank you guys for being able to be honest and share and engage as much as you can in the conversation. Thank you, Themis, for hosting this so that we can have this talk. But I'll say it again, just so we have something to go with the title of this live stream. Good man finally defined.
You might change that.
I probably will. But a good man communicates effectively. He is responsible. He exhibits selflessness. He has emotional maturity, and he does some providing and protecting. So that's at least something. Themis, you go ahead. However you want to put the show.
It's all about Orange Pill tonight. I appreciate that. I actually really appreciate you for hosting it, mostly because I couldn't. And I said this previously. I think for me, I feel like most of this conversation happened the first and second year of the channel, but you are right, and you did a really good job up until that last moment. And I could have let it slide, but no, I refuse. And so I'm going to end it, come back, and then we'll close out in the after show, because there's something about Hood Mystic that I want to point out that I think is super important, that I hope everyone noticed. It was low-key noble. Right? Too close to the camera, spewing nonsense. And the last one, Hood Mystic argument about Cardi and Offset is an example of moving the goalposts. Okay, having no standard. No, that's what I want to talk about. I finally get to come over. Well, you're coming over when we're leaving, Sin. Let's go into the after show. Welcome. But let's go into the after show. So I didn't know this would happen. First, let me say that. The second part is, it's sad because I don't think he's ready to have any kind of conversation that requires critical thinking at all. This is Jamal's channel, by the way, everyone. So that's the main issue that I have. The second issue is, I don't like when people lie, because it always comes out. If we're having a conversation about good men and it ultimately leads into a conversation about cheating, that is a wild thing to happen. Like, there's no reason why cheating, unless we're saying we should not cheat, right? It shouldn't have been brought up. But it's insidious to me that you would say, yes, you agree that both men and women can cheat, and then you move the goalpost when it comes to Cardi B. Right? And I don't like or dislike anyone. I'm just saying, like, the idea that you would like, oh, if a man like leaves his relationship at 8 months of not doing this, then that's fine. But Cardi B being separated, can't be with another person, is wild to me. Right? So you don't even hold your own standard. So for me, it's like annoying. And I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't be talking to someone like that. Like, I feel like he and what he believes is so inconsistent with me and what I believe that, like, we shouldn't be talking. Like, ladies, no matter what they say, 2 + 2 = 4, not 2.3, not 4.1. It's 4.8. So that's my final thoughts. Orange Pill and then Petty.
Well, yeah, I want to definitely give you guys a shout out for this panel and the safe space for it. And Jamal, appreciate you hosting it, or not hosting, but controlling the conversation. I know it got off the rails at some point. Yeah, there were so many things we could have dived into as we were talking, but like, I like how we was like, okay, let's go back to the good black man part. When it came to Hood Mystic, I think my interactions with him, I felt like he got a little tripped up or just trying to save himself, was when, like, I noticed, I look back at this conversation again when I was like, so is this in this situation of this 8-month thing? Is the man going to be like? Is the man going to be exploring how his wife, or how his wife hasn't had sex with? Oh yes, yes, he's going to be all this therapy and all this stuff. I was like, come on, man, and guys doing all that. They're just going to be like, I ain't had sex in 8 months. And then also the other point was man, what was it? Where about like, so after this cheating, is he going to be telling his wife that he did it? And he was like, yeah. I mean, you got to. I mean, you gotta be honest, with all this. So I was like, come on, man. You ain't even mentioned none of that before. You just kind of said this big thing about like, if he ain't had sex 8 months, he has the right to cheat and all this stuff. But then you left out, well, is he gonna be honest with his wife about it if he needs this release, this biological release? But yeah, he wasn't really, when he kind of said what he said, I felt like he didn't take into account all these different layers and the consequences of it, and why you're doing it, and then that it was this biological reason that he needed to. He didn't really explore all that, and how you all confronted him. He was just getting tricked up, and and it was frustrating him, I could tell. So he kind of got defensive, and he was projecting. So, so you guys are coming at me and this ad hominems, and I mean well when I say, I want the best. I don't know his relationship status and all that stuff. That would be another interesting thing, not to get personal with him, but that would say a lot about what's going on with, because it's like, if you're on the market, if a woman sees this video as some type of dating ad, would they be would they be a little reluctant to date you if they knew that information or that logic? So yeah, but he was very interesting, and I appreciate the time too, by the way.
No, I mean, I definitely agree. And I meant what I said about the influence that he might have on his son. And I wasn't trying to be disrespectful or anything like that. But I think that sometimes we don't recognize what we can be communicating, even if it's not direct. And I can tell that he really wrestles with just picking something. It's because it's easier. It's easier to try to be flexible and try to like almost appease everybody and to not stand firm. And that is it's problematic. And I mean, I hope he takes it as constructive criticism and not just like, I'm trying to say like anything deeply terrible about him or anything like that. But that is something that, again, in relationship to other people, and it doesn't just happen to be romantic, things can be pointed out about us, but we have to be open to that. So I mean, I don't know. I think that. Oh, I
Did
think
Petty go?
No, Petty's last.
All right, that's a good one.
Yeah, nobody care about what Hood Mystic got to say. Hood Mystic is like 50, so I don't know about you guys, but like when I do think it's important to talk to men. I really think it's more important to talk to boys, but maybe like young men. But people who are like 50, I ain't about to change this man's mind, and I don't really care. He's about to head on out of here anyway. Life expectancy is what it is, and it's a problem in the
I'm gonna
community.
stop you. I'm gonna end this live
Is
stream.
he really 50?
I'm just gonna cut you off. Let's go in the what do you call that? The Discord, because I'm not allowing you to say any of that on here. All right, imagine watching along with your King's Inconsistent thoughts are sliding off his smooth brain. I don't want to hear nothing what Petty has to say.
I think we could have had good conversation, and it's very unfortunate because in the beginning, I was taking notes. Because Orange Pill was talking about all types. I was dogging these women out and doing all types of things in my past.
I don't know if I said all that, but
Good night, everyone. Bye. Let's go. Ain't nobody doing that with Petty.